Starting of the story recap. The boy is shown somewhere on a bicycle, but a black van stops in front of him, and it takes him with him. Actually, there was a mad kidnapper in this town who kidnapped and finished the boy. In this town, a young boy named Finny is shown who lives with his father along with his sister. He lost his mother and his father's behavior with them was not good. He drinks a lot and misbehaves with his children. Finny goes to school and is teased by a few boys. Meanwhile, a boy comes and supports Finny and makes those kids who teased him run away. Then the boy says, "I'm not good at math, will you teach me?" Finny says, "Yes, sure, why not?" They later become good friends and two officers arrive at Finny's school to investigate the boy. The boy we saw at the beginning of the story riding a bicycle. Finny calls the nurse and asks how does she know the kidnapper has black balloons. Actually, the boy's sister reads in Finny's sister's class and she told his sister that the man who kidnapped your brother had black balloons. Officers say, "Yes, you are in the right place where the missing boy's black balloons were found." "How do you know?" "You were there." She, "Yes, no, I saw a dream." Here we discover whatever Finny's sister sees in her dream comes true. Officers contact Finny's father to investigate, but when he returns home, he beats and curses her daughter a lot. He says, "Why did you tell the officers you saw the black balloons with the hijacker?" She says, I saw this dream," but her father says, "Okay, so now you also dream like your mother. Remember that dreams never come true and now you don't tell anyone about the dream." Finny and his sister were worried about their father's behavior because he always treated his children badly. It is then shown Finny a new friend who saved him from the new boys at school, and a black van in front of him. And the kidnapper takes the boy as he comes out. The kidnapper had now kidnapped him and there was no one at school to save Finny. Therefore the boys start teasing him again, but Finny's sister comes as the boys tease and beat him. Saves him from them. After all this, Finny's sister asks him to go home and says, "I'm going to my friend's house." He says, "I'll stay there tonight." Finny went home alone and found that black van out front, in which the kidnapper kidnaps the children. The man was picking up a few things from under his van. He asks Finny for help, and when he does, the man pulls out many black balloons from the van and takes Finny to his van, passes out. He came to his senses and was in a dark room that was completely soundproof, meaning that no sound could get out. It was pointless to scream here. Meanwhile, the kidnapper comes to Finny wearing a horrible mask. His name is Grabber and he says, "Don't worry, I won't hurt you," and after saying that he leaves. Finny sees a black phone, a window and a toilet. When he left there was nothing but this. In the place where Grabber trapped Finny, but the black phone was dead and not working. His wire was actually damaged. It was the basement and Finny was worried how would he get out of there. Suddenly the phone rings and he gets scared and shocked that the wire is damaged. Then how can anyone call? The phone stops ringing as Finny is about to pick it up. Meanwhile, Grabber arrives. And it says the phone was ringing before and I don't know why. And leaves with this message. As he left, the phone rings again and this time someone was talking to Finny on the phone. He was the boy we saw at the beginning of the story riding a cycle, but his soul was talking to him. He says there is a tile on the floor. Take it out and dig the place so you can easily leave and make a tunnel. Finny agrees and starts digging from there. And he pulls out a bunch of soil, then throws it in a dresser and throws water on it so the Grabber doesn't discover anything. That same night, Finny's sister has a dream in which she sees Grabber and her brother. On the other side, Grabber brings food for Finny and leaves the door open. Finny was leaving, but the phone rings again, stopping him to leave. Finny picks up the call. And the other boy speaks, who was also his classmate from school, but now they don't know anything about Finny. That's what the boy said before. He said he should make a tunnel. Here we see the souls of the boys, and they were the boys who were terminated by the Grabber when they were kidnapped. They want to help Finny together, that's why their souls talk to him on the phone. The boy calling his soul forbade him to go up, because the Grabber intentionally left the door open so you go up and he finishes you off. I hid a rope here and you can use it to get to the window and call for help. Finny found the rope but could not reach the window. On the other hand, Sister Finny tells her father about her dream and says that she saw the kidnapper. He wore a terrible mask and I also know the place where he kept Finny. Her father was also worried about his son, so he agrees to find Finny with his daughter. There are two officers investigating the kidnapping of the boys, and they get to the man's house. This man lived with his brother and they came to him because they suspected him, but he says, "I doubt the kidnapper lives here." A kidnapper who disappeared children when he kidnapped them and no one discovered anything about them. The officers leave after questioning him. But surprisingly, Finny is trapped in the basement of that house. But the man knows nothing about it and his brother was a kidnapper who kidnaps children. His name was Grabber and this man does not know his brother's reality. Little does he know that there is a cellar in his house. Grabber brings food for Finny. And he says, "Tell me your name and I'll let you go." Finny was afraid of him so he said his fake name. The grabber gets furious at this and throws the food and throws the newspaper in front of him, in which was the news of his abduction and his name was also written. He leaves furiously. Meanwhile, Finny sees the boy's soul and the phone rings again. He picks up and the boy's soul talks to him. Says grabber, he hasn't finished you yet because you haven't played any games with him. Now is the right time for you to escape from there because at this time he must be sleeping. My cycle number is the password of this door and I wrote it on the wall. Finny gradually moves towards the door. He opens it, but the grabber also wakes up and his dog starts barking as well. The grabber was smart enough to catch him again. Poor Finny was trapped by the grabber, and he locks him up again. Then Finny speaks again and the boy's soul tells him that if he doesn't leave by day, grabber finishes him off and he just has a way of breaking through the wall. And behind him is a huge fridge and it's easy to walk through it. He does the same thing. He breaks the wall and moves into the fridge, but he stayed there because the fridge was locked from the outside. Finny lost his courage and felt that grabber would finish him like the others. Meanwhile, the phone rings again, and this time his soul was speaking to the boy who was saving him from the others at school. She asks him to fill clay in the handset of the phone and then he can use it as a weapon. Finny's sister was looking for grabber's house in the rain on Sile because she saw his house in her dream. Meanwhile, the souls of the 5 boys who were terminated by the grabber. She gets scared to see them and falls off the merry-go-round. Then she sees the house she saw in her dream in front of her. When she arrived home, she called the police and told them about the house that was investigating the case. Then grabber's brother shows up and he suspects his brother. When he goes down, he finds a cellar. He is surprised to see Finny there, but before he can save him, grabber comes and finishes him off. Grabber also wants to finish off Finny and ties his dog to the door and then tries to finish off Finny. Poor Finny ran up and down while running away, but fell into a ditch when he got close to Finny, which he made to trap him. Now grabber ends and he presses his neck with that black phone wire, but he can't go out anyway because grabber's dog was on the door. His sister leads the officers outside. Now when the officers arrive at the house that Sister Finny told them about, they find many dead bodies there, all finished by grabber. On the other hand, Finny throws a piece of meat in front of the dog, which makes him leave the road, and knowing the password of that door, he comes out as it opens. They see many police cars. Here we find out that the grabber has 2 houses. In one of them he keeps the dead bodies of the boys and in the other he imprisons them. The officers did not find Finny because the houses were in front of them. Now the truth has been revealed, so Finny's father apologizes to his children that he won't do anything wrong now. After her, Finny goes to school and everyone notices him because he was released from grabber's prison when he ended it. He has completely changed. He was no longer the fearful Finny. At the end of this movie we learn that we should not help anyone without thinking. Otherwise we will make the same mistake as Finny and the other children. This is where the movie recap ends.